All right, everybody. Today we're going to make a shallow bowl candy dish. Let me show you a sample of what I've been working on, but it's going to be something like this. Except for the rim, I'm going to actually torch it and then put some colored waxes on it to make it pop. So that's what we're going to do today. This is just regular dye. There's no burning on this one, but this is a practice piece. I like the way the bottom came out. Got a nice foot and things like that on it. So it's not finished or anything, but I'll get to it eventually. So, but that's what I'm going to be making today. And the first piece, I've got it mounted here on my lathe. Let's go to 3 cameras so you guys can see everything. And it is, so you can see it's kind of thin. It is 2 1/4 inches thick. And it's just about 11 inches in diameter to start with. I guess I still got to level everything off. And to make Safety Sue happy, I'm going to wear me a safety helmet. Hey, I hope you guys can still hear me. I'm not too muffled, am I?
No, yeah.
I'm good? Okay, good. So the first thing I want to do is I want to true up the edge here. So I'm going to grab me a 1/2 inch bowl gouge. It's got some sort of wing back. It's not too back as far as bringing the wings too far back, but that's the way I like it, like this. And we got a little vibration because it's out of round. So I'm going to see if I can bring that past the vibration. It doesn't sound like it, so I'm going to turn it back down. Once we get it balanced, it'll do much better. Wow. Even at 400, 500. All right, there we go, 500. Then we'll just clean this edge up. I'm going to switch over to the overhead. There we go. And I've got the tool at 45-degree angle for the cut. Just like right there. It's kind of hard to see on the video. My camera needs to come a little forward back, but I don't want to mess with it right now. But it's about right there. I'm using the bevel as a guide. So it's not too out of round because my tool isn't really jumping around too much. So only 1 or 2 of these passes should balance it out this direction. And 1 more pass there, just nice and easy. Pardon? Oh, I could hear somebody talking in the background, so thought there was a question there. And I'm using my body to lean into the cut. Just like that. Gotta clean up that edge right there. It's not perfectly, but it is balanced enough for right now. So I'm going to grab me my larger 5/8 bowl gouge, and I'm going to clean up the face. I'm going to raise up my tool rest a little bit. And the reason I have my tailstock in there, it's on a screw center, but it's just as a safety precaution. It helps cut down on vibration also. This is my 5/8, and it's a real heavy, good gouge for this. And I'm just going to do cuts using the tip and the wing right about, where did I got a pencil at? I thought I had a pencil. There we go. So I'm going to be cutting right about in this area, right in here. Let's see if I can turn it up just a little bit more. That's better. Needs a little bit more work right here on the ends. So I get the solid wood. There we go. Just get all that unevenness out of the piece here. I'll be able to turn it up a bit faster. So I'm going to put an OG curve on the bottom. First thing I want to do is kind of roughly measure out the bottom in thirds. Using a pencil. I'm going to switch over. Let's see if I can. There we go. So I'm just guessing here. I'm not going to measure too much. So that should be a decent sized foot for it. Right there, and there'll be a recess. I'm going to create a recess instead of a tenon. Then I'm just going to go about halfway in between these two. Right there. And I'll probably adjust it as I go. So the next thing I want to do is I'm just going to create a cove right in this area here between the line and the edge. Now, if you got any questions, just let me know. Yell it as loud as you can so I can hear it.
Okay, we'll do.
Let me do. Yeah, let's do a 3. Oh, overhead. That's better. That way you guys can see what's going on over here and what's going on at the face at the same time. The overhead will allow you to see the shape take place. So because I got a little bit of extra thickness there, I'm just going to go beyond that pencil line a little bit. Kind of make that way when I turn it around, I don't have to take so much off of the face. See if I can turn it up now a little bit faster. A little slower. I had to do some work on my lathe. A little while ago, I had to actually strip the threads on the bearing or on the
Spindle?
On the spindle, yeah. So a friend of mine runs a really nice automotive machine shop, and I took the headstock in and we popped everything out. We re-threaded everything, and it's running perfect. Except I still got a little bit of a vibration issue with it. I don't know. I don't think it's just sitting on the floor quite right because I did take the headstock off and the tailstock and it bare boned it down to all kinds of things. So I'm thinking I need to re-level the feet a little bit. There we go. That's about the curve I want. I'm kind of looking to see if there's any flat spots. And this is a piece of, I can't remember if it grows on the coast in California. It's either monkey pod or monkey puzzle. I can't remember which. So I still got a little bit of almost like instead of a curve, it's kind of it's not a concave, it's a convex right in that area. I just need to kind of blend this all down a little bit better. So I'm looking at the horizon just to see how the shape is developing. It looks pretty good. I do have a bit of tear out, which is common for this piece of wood I've been using. You can see it right here. I've got some tear out right there, but I'll clean that up with a scraper here in a moment. So now what I want to do is take this down just like I did when I was balancing it out. But not too much, just enough to develop a foot on the bottom. Just like that. Maybe take it down just a little bit more. There we go. And then I just want to take this and just kind of blend it all together. Starting all the way at the foot and working my way down all the way to that curve just to see it blend all in. And just a little bit more right here. It looks like it needs to come down just a little bit there. I need to bring the wing down a little bit better there. There we go. Let's see how much tear out we've got going on here. Now the shape looks nice. I'm just going to fill it with my hand here. See if it feels nice to my hand. Feels really good. There's no real bump. Need to take a little bit more down this way. It's kind of going uphill right towards the foot there, and I want it a little bit flatter. We can take some of that foot down once we get to that part. And that looks better. I can tuck this in there a little bit more. I'm going to grab me my smaller bowl gouge if I can get it down into that corner here a little bit more. There we go. See if this little smaller bowl gouge will help clean up some of that tear out. Smaller tools are usually good at that. And I'm just going to take it nice. I'm just going to drop the handle. And let me go to the 3 cameras so you guys can see that a little bit. I'm dropping the handle a bit. I'm going to do a shear cut across the face here. And you can see how fine the shavings are that are coming off. That's what I'm looking for. This really helps with doing some tear out, getting rid of it.
Hey, Scott, can you tell us about the angle that you have your hole gouges ground to and the wing length?
Okay, well, the wing isn't cut back too far. So I've been trying to do millimeters lately. Seems to work better for me.
That's a lot more accurate.
Yeah.
Easier to manipulate hole indexes as opposed to fractions and dozens.
So it looks like it's about 12. The wing is about 12 millimeters back, and the bevel angle. The bevel angle I want to do inch. Let's see. It's about a 1/2 inch. So, and the angle I usually try to keep my gouges are at about 55 degrees.
Likewise.
Yeah,
That's about the same profile that I keep on my gouges.
I started using that angle years and years and years ago, and I've never changed it because I'm just happy with it. And yes, it's a very personal thing. It depends on how you cut your wood. There's a huge thing about, the 40-40 grind and things like that. I tried a 40-40 grind once and I did not like it. They said it's a difficult grind to master, but once you master it, it's great. But I really don't want to have to relearn all that stuff all over again, if you know what I mean. It's just, I'm happy with what I got. So as you can see there,
making beautiful shavings as is.
Yeah, you can see the bevels are pretty much the same right there. Large, small,
Sure.
doesn't matter. So I'm going to use my larger bowl gouge. I'm going to do another shear cut with this, see how well it does. The small one did pretty well, but it was leaving some lines in the wood. It got rid of a lot of the tear out, but it left a lot of tool marks behind. So you can see how fine the shavings are coming off of that. That's what you're looking for when you're doing a shear cut like this. So I need to readjust my tool rest because my tool is hitting right in this area right here, and I don't want that to happen. Sitting right there at that corner, because I got my handle dropped so far. And we'll see if that got rid of some of those small tool marks, the smaller tools. Right in this area, I need just a little bit. I'll get rid of them here in a second.
Hey Scott, as you're shear scraping there, are you shear scraping on center or just above center?
It's not. It's actually a good half an inch or so above center. When I drop my handle, it's you could do that, but you'd have to drop. Let's see what happens here. You got to drop your tool rest way down to get it on center. Let's see if I can adjust the handle there out of the way. See, now I'm on center. See how that does. We're here just to learn, so let's just play around a little bit. So I'm getting a really nice, still a good shaving off of that too. I can see it leaving some lines there, so I'm just going to lightly go back across that. I generally do it. See, it left a pretty good tool mark right there.
Again.
Yeah, so I'm just going to raise it back up. I like it a little higher than center, so that's the way I prefer it.
I agree.
But whatever you...
Your arm's not long enough to be able to get...
Yeah, you're way down here bending your knees and squatting and I find that, whatever works for you. I have yet to meet a wood turner who doesn't have their own way of turning wood, So I still got that. So I'm just going to power sand that out of there real quick, because I don't want to get rid of those tool marks. So I got the drill already set up, so. So when I'm power sanding, I have the wood's coming down, and I have the drill set to where the sandpaper is coming up to meet the wood instead of dragging it down with it, because that'll leave a lot of marks, and it could skip and things like that. So you want your sandpaper to rotate up towards the wood the direction it's coming down. So you can see how it's turning that way. This is 180. This is all I'm going to sand. I'm not going to go crazy with it. This is just a demo piece. So I'm just going to try to get rid of some of those sanding marks. That looks pretty good for a demo piece. We'll leave it at that. So now I'm just going to back up my tailstock here so I can do the recess in the foot. I need to get rid of I'll get this out of here, out of my tailstock, because these little points, they hurt when they go into your elbow. Most definitely. So this is held on pretty well with a screw chuck, so it's not going to go anywhere. The only thing that can happen is if the threads strip inside the wood, which doesn't happen too often. So I'm just going to grab that large bowl gouge again, just kind of smooth all this out, and then mark for my recess here. I'm just going to kind of concave it down in there so it doesn't have a flat or a dome. It'll sit on the foot much better that way. I need to drop my tool rest down just a little bit more. Thought I had it on center. Let's just check it before I turn it on. It's a little bit more. There we go. Let's see what speed I'm at right now. So I'm just at 1,000 right now. I can speed it up. It's pretty well balanced now. This will create a smoother cut if I can speed it up. I'm at about 1,500, 1,600. Well, I'm going to turn it back down. It kind of creeped up on me there. All right. 1,500 RPMs. No need to go crazy with the speed. So I'm just going to kind of work my way in towards the center, going a little bit deeper each time. And just kind of clean that area up. And I'm going to show you guys a pretty neat beading tool that I recently purchased. It's not your normal beading tool. I kind of like it for making feet.
Nice.
So, let me pull this out. Oh, wrong drawer. There we go. Oh, you guys can't see what I'm doing. There we go. Sorry about that. So I created just a curve right there, kind of a concave going in. As you can see, it's got the foot sitting proud. Probably go a little bit. I'm going to take that down just a little bit. It's a little tall for a foot. You don't need to go really high with one. There we go. That's much better. This will be where the recess is. So I'm not too worried about that. So this is a interesting tool here. Most beading tools, they just have a curve that go in here, and they're one size, and that's the size bead you're gonna get. Well, this one's a little different. It's got a point with two curves on both sides, as you can see there. And what you can do, I'll leave it on the overhead, but it's probably the best view, is you just bring that point up next to that foot there, and it'll just round that foot over. And then you can just bring it in over here, round all that over just like that. And let's see if we can, you can see where it just created a nice foot right there. Let's see if I can get a better view here. I can bring that in. Come on. And see how it rounded everything over?
Yeah.
And so I can just bring my tool back in and grab me my smaller bowl gouge. And I'm just going to use that little spot that cut right there. And I'm just going to bring it in just right here. Go a little bit deeper there and just kind of create that curve down in there, a little cove. And I'm just going to backtrack that, just kind of clean it all up. Get rid of that little nubbin out of the way. A little more clean up. And I'm just going to bring my tool back around. I'm going to bring it in this way and just clean that one area up. And then you got yourself a beaded foot right there. Grab me a small piece of sandpaper there just to clean that area up by hand. Turn it down a little too slow. There we go. Just going to clean that up with some sandpaper real quick. No need the power sand in here. Doing it by hand does a pretty quick job.
Scott, where did you get that beading tool from?
I got it from Craft Supplies.
Oh, okay.
Now they got different sizes. I got this one is a 1/4 inch. I think they got an 1/8 inch and a 3/8 inch too. I only got the 1/4 inch right now, but I'll probably be buying the other two here real soon. I just wanted to try it out before I spent all the money on a whole set.
Yeah, right.
And I really like it because, you know, with the regular beading tools, it's kind of weird how they work. You can't use it on a beading tool, a regular one, on a piece like this to round over stuff like that. Plus, if you wanted to, if you had say you wanted a wider foot, you could put this in there and round one side over and move it over to whatever width you wanted and just round over that other side. And then you got a large, you know, a large area there with a rounded part on each side. And I touched the point right in there by accident. So let me grab that sandpaper real quick. Clean that off.
Never fails.
Yeah, it never fails, doesn't it? Hopefully I got it all out. I don't think I touched it too bad. Yeah, it's done. All right, so now I just got a nice foot beaded right there. It looks pretty nice. So I'm just going to round it over a little bit more with sandpaper, the bead here, just to clean it up real quick. Kind of round it over just a little bit more with the sandpaper. There we go. All right. Now it's time to put a mark in the center there for the recess. I've already measured my jaws for the recess. You always want to do that. Plan ahead. You don't want to have to take all this off to measure the jaws and put everything back together again. So I'm just going to use the calipers. Do not put this far into the wood, just the one closest to you. It's pretty obvious why you want to do that. So you don't have, and you want the tool rest as close as you can. Give it some support there. And I know I'm off a little bit here, but I like to work my way out instead of in. That way I'm not, if I started out here and work my way in, I'd have to get rid of all those lines. So you can see I'm a little too big. Oh, I need to raise my tool rest just a little bit. It's not on center for that particular one. Otherwise, it's not going to measure it right. I'm almost right on there, right there. So I just need to tap it over just a hair. There we go. And I'll mark that with a pencil so you guys can see it a little bit better. All right. So, but I was gifted, or I won actually, a set of carbide tools. And one thing I found they're really good for is making recesses in the bottom of bowls. So this is just the square tip.
Good to know.
It's better than using I used to use a parting tool all the time, but I always never quite, because of the shape of the parting tool here, you've always got this area, it's going to rub on the bottom of that radius you're making, and it can throw it out a little bit. But because this one is just flat and square and it sits proud of the actual tool, you can just push this right in. I know it sounds a little rough, but that's just the way the tool is. I need to probably drop the tool rest down just a hair. These things need to be dead on center. Make them work better.
You raise or lower the tool handle or straight in?
Oh, straight in. You want the tool straight and parallel. Just perfectly level. You don't want to drop your handle like this or it's going to drop it down. These carbide tools are bad for grabbing. Same thing, if you bring it up too much, it's going to grab right in the corner of these square ones right here. And it's just going to yank it. So you just want to go straight in with them. And then for a second here, I'm just going to check my depth. Kind of clean that up a little bit. I got that in there.
Scott, do you undercut that at all?
Yeah. Well, right, I'm going to be using Talon jaws, but they do have a ridge on the outside, so I do need to undercut it just a little bit, and that's where this one comes in.
Thank you.
Yep. So I can just bring this on an angle right into here.
Detail go. Detail perfect.
Yeah, it's a point tool pretty much. And this is pretty good for making a dovetail in there. Huh?
He calls that a diamond.
Yes. So I'm just going to clean that up right here a little bit. Get rid of those grooves that the diamond tool left behind. And I can also go, yeah.
That's not a diamond. That's where detail goes. The diamond comes to a sharp point.
Well, I'm not sure what they call it. I just know I won them in a contest, so I'm happy with them.
That one's a detailer.
Okay.
Got a round nose.
Yeah, they do sell they do sell a pointed one also. So. Clean that up. Make sure we got a nice flat for the jaws to sit on right there. It looks good. So I'm just going to clean up that recess edge here. All right, now we're going to play a little bit here. I'm going to grab me a texturing tool. A couple of them here. Got my Wagner's, my point tool, and my elf tool here. Just to kind of dress it up a little bit on the bottom here. I always like to do that. So let's gonna see if that's gonna run on center. Yep. So I need to draw this back just a little bit so the wheel does spin. And I'm just gonna bring it up on the outside of that recess a little bit. And just go back and forth with it a little bit. The one thing about these tools, they don't cut the wood, they just put an impression in the wood. So you want to run it a little longer than you think it should.
How fast do you run it?
Well, that was about 600. So this is an elf tool. I'm going to slow it down just about to 400 for this one. And I'm just going to come in the center right here, and I'm going to create like a bit of a little bit of a flower effect right in the center here. Now these are carbide tips that come with these, so these do cut the wood. So just got a nice little detail right in the center. Got a line right there, but I'm gonna, I know how to dress that up. So I'm just gonna come in where that line is. I'm just gonna, right on the other side of it here, I'm just gonna create another detail here. So texturing can help clean up little mistakes there. So I can bring my point tool in. And where that line was, I can just put a nice little, I'm gonna raise my tool rest up a little bit. All these tools should be on center when you use them. It's a little too low. Now this is not your regular point tool. It's a very long. I like to grind this one really long, because all I use it for is to put detail lines next to my texturing. I'm just going to make sure I don't put the line right in there. Okay, there it is. And then right here. There we go. Got all those taken care of. Put these out of the way so I don't use the parts. Oh, come on, drawer shut. There we go. I'm going to grab me some gray Scotch Brite here, and this will kind of help clean up any fuzzies left behind from the texturing. You can see the fuzzies coming off sometimes. I can see it here. I don't know if the camera's picking them up or not, but you definitely want to do this to get rid of any straggly type of hairy fuzzies that the texturing might have left behind. Just like that. So that's a little sharp. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that beading tool again. I'm just going to curve that over just ever so much. And this is why I like this thing. Bring that beading tool right up in here. Kind of round this over. Just to give it a little, so it's not so sharp looking. Right there. Nice and, that way that you don't have to worry about trying to sand that round or anything. So that would be that done. So I could oil it. So let me grab my walnut oil real quick. Pieces. So we're going to make this pop a little bit here. Grab some paper towels. And hopefully it'll look really nice here. Let me brush some of this sawdust off. And when we turn this over after I finish it, we're going to do some balancing of the piece and do a little work on the rim, and then we're going to torch it. So this is a Doctor's Wood Finishing, Walnut Finishing Oil. You can buy it through Niles Bottle Stoppers from Carl Jacobson. Now this piece of wood is just absorbing the oil like crazy here. This is a kind of a plain wood, but I just like the subtleties of it. How it, some of the wood grain that comes out. No, not all wood needs to be all fancy and full of pretty grain. There we go. Now I sent an email to all the members of my club here telling them about this tonight and all about this club in general. So hopefully some of them are here. I know Bob Clark is here. He's in our club. He's here pretty much every week though. I'm just hoping some of the other members will join in. I need to get a little touch of oil right in this spot.
I know I've seen some new members pop in that I've admitted last week, but real nice to see them.
Yeah, it might be some of them.
Yeah.
All right. So we got a nice oil. See it?
Good turnout for you, sir. We got 83 online right now.
Oh, that's great. Glad people can make it. Need some of that oil off of the lathe bed. It's not like the oil's going to hurt the lathe bed, but I just don't want it slopping around and stuff. So I'm just going to buff it real quick with the paper towel. Get rid of any excess.
Do you know a Casey in your club?
Casey?
Yeah.
Yeah, Robert Cornelius, in other words. But Casey, yeah. Is he here?
He's here.
Ah, okay. That's great. Hello, Casey. I haven't seen you in a while. Missing you at the meetings. All right, so let me pull this one. There we go. Now you can see some of that grain in there. Plus the oil will make the stuff pop. Where'd that brush go? I have a brush that's gonna clean all that junk out of it. There you are. Sometimes the paper towels leave little bits inside the texturing, so a brush like this is mostly for, washing dishes. If this really gets any paper towel pieces left behind in the texturing out of there, so there we go. Now,
We also got a new member by the name of Kelly. Welcome, Kelly.
so we are ready to turn it around. Where are we? 6 o'clock. Ooh, I better get moving. So I know. It's just. Oh, okay. There we go. So I just locked my spindle so I could unscrew this. I apply beeswax to my threads. It makes it a lot easier to take off. Now this is a spacer disc because my bowl is so thin. I didn't want to drill a really deep hole, so this kind of takes the space of that. You can see that maybe kind of in the corner there. Let's see that. Yeah, it's hard to see, but it takes that space up so you don't have to drill such a deep hole in there, and it actually gives an extra support to the piece because it's larger than the jaws are.
Nice working area.
Yeah. All right, so I need to remove that screw chuck. We're about ready to get to the exciting part here. I need to turn these down so they'll fit in the. So when I measured my jaws, let's see here. What happened to that one? Uh-oh. Well, that wasn't good. Just dropped the locking pin for my spindle there. That is really weird. Where did that go? I'm looking for my. I'm just gonna have to reach over and do this one. There we go. So what I do with my jaws, if I'm doing a recess or any type of, even a tenon, I just open them up just a little bit here. It's about right there. Use a little bit of a curve because when they cast these things, they're solid. But when you close them down like this, they're not casted this way. And it's not a perfect circle anymore when it's closed all the way down. You got to open them up a little bit because after they're casted, they take a saw and they cut these. So it leaves a little curve right there. So I always open them up a little bit, just like that. And that's where I measure for either a tenon or a recess. There we go. Use my thumb to help support it. Just need to closing the jaws. Now you noticed there's several wood turners. For some reason, demonstrators, I've seen them do this numerous times, and I've learned my lesson. Is they make the recess first. I don't know why. I did that for several years. And then what happened is you do all this detail on the back, and then you'd have to go and kind of redo the recess again because you took some of that wood away. So I've learned to start doing the recess last and creating a piece with a recess in it.
Hey, Scott.
Yeah.
Real quick, if you got a chance to you, or if you want to, you can also talk on it. Can you explain the anatomy of a properly made recess and why recesses typically fail?
Okay.
They were done by the majority of new turners.
All right. Well, let me grab that sample board here. I wish I. the overhead here. There we go.
Now, if I would have known you were doing a recess, I would have gave you a warning on that.
Okay. So this is a larger recess. I used a larger set of jaws for this. And you could go anywhere from an 1/8 to a 1/4 inch. I kind of go with the 1/4 inch deep. This is in between a 1/4 inch and an 1/8 of an inch. It's surprising how well a recess can hold with it being shallow. You know, you would think, oh, I gotta go in 1/2 an inch to make the recess. It's not. That's not so. It's because you've got all this. If you measured right, all your jaws are touching all the way around, and so they're expanding and putting pressure. You don't want to put a whole ton of pressure on it. I mean, you need to snug it up somewhat, but you don't want it to where it's going to crack the wood, because if you do crank it down, it can split the wood. And you need a flat area right here. This is where your main support is. This is the flat area where your jaws are going to rest, the top part of your jaws. Let's see if I can grab me a... So this is the set I used for the sample piece right here. So you can see that it's a little bit bigger, but you definitely want to make this area flat right in here. And this is where a lot of the holding power comes from. This is what keeps your piece from coming out of a recess, because it can take the pressure. And you're applying pressure against the bowl, it's pushing against the face here. That's why you do not want. Sometimes you can make it a little bit like a cove, just a little bit if you're not sure you can get it flat. But flat is the best way. You certainly don't want to have a slight dome here, or it's not going to rest right, and you're never going to get it to mount right into the recess. It's either got to be flat or just a little bit of a cove, or going down a little bit deeper from this part to this part. But this is definitely, this is where you get all your support, is from the face of the jaws. Same with the tenon, except the tenon you're squeezing, but the main majority of that support is coming from the face of your jaws. That's why on a tenon you need a flat area just on the outside of it, with a really, really sharp corner from the tenon to the flat. You can't have a little bit of a gap or a little bit of a hill on a tenon. I don't have a piece for a tenon, I don't think. I sure don't. I don't think. Let me see if I got an old piece that has a tenon on it. No, that one's not going to work. That looks like crap. I can't find anything with a tenon on it. Oh well.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, but so you right on the outer edge of a tenon, you need a sharp corner where the tenon meets the flat. Anything other than that, and it's not going to sit right, and it's going to wobble against the wood. And that wobble is going to cause you a lot of problems. But yeah, with the shallow bowls like this size, recesses are great. I mean, I've done big bowls with recesses before, and you can go back and forth and say, well, the tenon is stronger than a recess and vice versa, but when it comes down to it, it's really what you feel is going to hold the wood the best. There's no tried or true thing saying, you have to have a tenon because the bowl is this big or anything. Certain things, like if you're using a coring system, use a tenon. If you're hollowing, use a tenon, because for the direction that those tools work, that's where a tenon really shines, is in tools like that.
Actually use recess on coring.
Oh, do you?
Or coring.
What kind of coring?
After your demo, I use one way.
Oh, okay.
I'll further expand on the anatomy of the recess after your demo.
Okay, because I've got a
great explanation.
I've got a a wood cut, which is kind of similar to the one way.
Right.
I mean, I think to me, it's kind of like the cheaper version of the one way. It's how I look at it. So there's some drawbacks to it, of course, but you know, all tools have certain drawbacks compared to great drawbacks. So, all right, so let's get going on this. I'm going to eat up all the time if we keep doing this. All right, so let's do the face here. So I'm just going to, I got it on center. I need to drop it just a little bit. I'm really picky about where my tool rest is, as should most wood turners. And also, you don't want the wing of your tool rest sitting way out here, because you're going to get vibration. And even though it may look like it's welded very well, even on robusts, I have seen them break because of all the pressure going down in here. The best place to be turning as much as possible is right over that post. That's where the strength is, right in this area here. The further out you get, the more vibration and more chance you're going to have a problem. So I try to, with this kind of a thing, I just center the tool post right about in the middle right here. And that way I know I'm getting the best support for this. So, all right. I'm going to turn this up past the sanding speed I had. All right, so I got to turn it down just a little bit. And I just need to take quite a bit off of the front here. The first thing I want to do, though, is just get it to solid wood so I can turn the speed up. So I need to back my tool rest up just a little bit. Seems like I'm riding on the bevel a little bit, so I need to pull it out. There we go. Now I'm getting into solid wood. Uh-oh. See what happened? It actually slipped in the recess. The wood started slipping in the recess right there. So apparently I didn't have it tight enough. But you did see, because I had the tool rest that close, it prevented the wood from flying out and knocking me in the head.
Oh yeah. Right.
It just spun and then it just stopped. So apparently I just didn't snug it up quite enough, which can happen.
Another reason why you want to have your tool rest closed.
Oh yeah. Yep. That prevented this from coming off all the way, because it was like right here. So it kind of blocked it from coming out of the recess completely. So I got it pretty well snugged back up. It's running pretty true there. Feels like it. So I'm just going to take a few lighter cuts just to be on the safe side. I think I was taking one heck of a heavy cut down here too. So I'm going to bring my tool rest out back this way, giving me that extra support. I'm almost done with this part. So I can just leave that there where I'm at, because I'm just going to be dishing all that out anyway. So what I want to do is create a slight dome on the rim. So I'm going to grab me a pencil here. Just decide, I'm just going to make the bowl section just a little bit bigger than the foot. I'm just looking by eye. Because I am embellishing the rim, I want it a little large. So what I want to do is just kind of go in right here. and then kind of come out, and then kind of go back in a little bit and create a curve. Then I'm just going to kind of trim that sharp edge off the side there. So I want the bowl part to sit a little bit proud as far as the edge goes. So I want to bring this in a little bit deeper. I'm going to switch over to, let's see if we can, there we go. That's better. See, this proud area is going to be the lip of the bowl. I'm just going to take this down a little bit more. I just need to turn my tool rest just a little bit. You notice that I try to remember to turn off my lathe whenever I move the tool rest, especially when it's close like this. Very safety thing to do.
I'm so proud.
So I'm going to do another shear cut. So I'm going to drop the handle down. Just take it across the surface here. Clean up any tool marks. There we go. So that kind of cleaned it up a little bit. So I'm just going to hit it with the sander real quick. Get rid of some of that tear out. And then I'm going to texture it with a Proxxon tool, and then I'm going to scorch it. Doesn't need to be crazy. So I'm going to put the lathe in reverse so I can get up in this area. So I reversed my tool, my drill, so it's going. There we go. So it's going down. The face of it's going down where I'm going to be sanding, and the piece of wood's coming up towards me. That way I can get it down in that corner area. You can bring it all the way out as long as you're using this edge of the sandpaper. I probably got rid of enough of that. Yeah, cleaned it up really nice. Okay, so I'm going to bring this around, and I'm just going to clean up the rim here. Kind of round it over a little bit. Got my 5/8 or my 1/2 inch bowl gouge. I'm just going to bring it in, and I'm just going to start rubbing the bevel. Bring it down until it starts cutting, and just do a kind of a twist. Almost like making a slight bead. And do the same thing on the other side. Just to soften up that rim a little bit. Then we're going to bring the wing over. It's going to be 9 o'clock. The tool's going to be facing 9 o'clock. Clean that up. Same thing, but I'm going to flip the tool over to 3 o'clock. There we go. And I'm just going to touch it with the sander again. Just this part. Come on. There we go. Whoa. I must have touched my speed dial. All right. Here we go. All right, so now I'm gonna do some texturing on here. So I've got a Proxxon tool, overhead. So these blades are like, almost like a chainsaw blade. You can't buy them anymore. At least I can't find them anymore. You can still buy the more dangerous ones that actually have chain links, like a chainsaw, which are much more dangerous than this one. But I understand in the UK, at least, that they've actually banned this type of blade. I don't know why. I've never had a bit of trouble with it. I've tried those chainsaw ones, and they just scared the heck out of me. So they grab and they bite, but these don't. They just leave nice grooves or whatever you're going to do with it, you know, cutting wood or something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the lathe. And I'm just going to kind of bring it across this area here, not all the way up to this bump. I'm just going to grab it. Just enough right here just to add a little bit of a texture to the rim. And I need to turn the lathe down to about 400. And this one I'm going to turn the speed dial all the way up to high. And what this is going to do is it's going to be almost like your regular texturing tool that you would use on end grain and stuff. But this will make a nice same kind of pattern, but on face grain, which you cannot do with a regular texturing tool. So nice and quiet machine here. And I'm just going to bring the tool rest over to where I can kind of use it as a hand rest here. I'm just going to find the center. You gotta be careful with it. It can be a little grabby. Oh yeah, sorry. There we go. Let me see if I can do a. There we go. Just nice. Oh, it grabbed. So I'm not going to use the tool rest anymore. I think it's kind of getting in the way. Oh, that grabbed the lip right there. That's why it jumped. So I'm just using my body as support instead of the tool rest. I might have to clean up just a little bit. Yeah, I'm gonna have to grab the bowl gouge, and kind of gouge it out around the rim right here. So I'm gonna clean that up real quick so you guys can see that pattern that developed. So let me clean that up before I torch it. So 1/2-inch bowl gouge, and so we'll just clean it up real quick, doing a pull cut using the wing of the tool. That happens from time to time. It's easy enough to cut away. Let's see how I did there. So I'm grabbing my larger tool. We'll do a better job of not leaving tool marks behind. You got rid of the divots the tool left behind, but kind of tearing out the wood a little bit. All right, that's better. A little bit right there. A couple more passes. Doing the shear cut, dropping the handle. Get rid of that tear out. All right. Well, that's much better. So I'm going to come back around to the back and do the same thing, just to kind of match everything back up. Grab the sander, go over it real quick. we go. Get it up to speed. It's a little too fast for our sander. All right, now we can torch it. But first, I want to make sure I got all the dust away. Okay. I need to, where was that spot? I saw a spot that's kind of, this is a practice piece, so I'm not too worried about it. So, the first thing I want to do is I'm going to grab me my air hose. Blow off any dust that's on the lathe. Need to get it on the top first here. Compressors are great for this. I'm going to get it off the headstock. The reason I'm doing this is I don't want any sparks to accidentally land somewhere where they shouldn't. I also have a fire extinguisher over to my side there. That's my tool rest, or my compressor kicking in. If you guys can hear that, I'm sorry about that. They'll turn off in a second. All right. Got my board that's going to cover the bedways. Also got spray bottle of water. Can't be too careful with doing this kind of thing, so I'm going to take off my helmet. I can breathe a little bit. So I do this with the lathe off, of course. But this is just your regular enzymatic propane you can get at the hardware store. Nothing fancy, just the regular tip. You can get nicer tips that that are better adjustable than this, but I find this one works pretty well for me. So I just turn on the propane all the way up before you start it. And then you can adjust how big of a flame you want afterwards. So I turn it down low first just to see how it's going to react to the wood. There we go. You don't need to have this thing turned up all the way up. See where it's scorching on the outside? I'm going to be turning those parts away. So I'm not too worried about the scorching up here either, because that'll be turned away. I'll be creating a border to make the scorched area stand out a little bit more. It's good to have ventilation going in your shop too. You want your doors open. I do, and I also have a fan blowing the smoke out of my shop. So the texturing is going to kind of disappear with all the flames, but that's all right, because that colored wax is what's going to fill in those areas. It's really going to make it pop. You just want to make sure you get pretty much as black as you can get it. Just go around and check it. Make sure you got pretty good black area. Sometimes the grain doesn't char as much on one area than it does the other. So it's good to go back around a couple times. All right, I think that's enough. All right, so I'm going to let it cool off for just a second. You don't need to spray it water or anything. It's touchable. It's not super hot or anything like that. Dust anything off my hands that got on there. Let me grab that green brush again. Since I need to get all this brush, I buy these like 3 or 4 at a time. That's what I can wash most of this off, but what you want to do is you need to get all the soot. You can see it coming off that burn area before you spray it with any sanding sealer like I like to do. You need to seal this with something, of course, because every time you pick it up, you're going to get ash on your hands. So sanding sealer is the best thing I have found for this. Also rubbing it like this. Yeah. Yes, sir.
We use a brass wire.
Oh, yeah. I've done that too. Sure. Yeah.
So it's not too coarse.
No. You just don't want to be heavy-handed with it.
Okay.
Yeah, but it works just fine. I mean, it's textured, so any scratches that list behind, it's not really going to show up in the texturing. So this is what I just have in my shop today. I think my brass brushes for, those brass welding brushes is what I use. I got them put away in a drawer someplace, but this one was out, so this is why I grabbed it.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to.
Yeah, this one works just as well.
Okay.
That's a good question. So I can feel the texture still there. It's just hard to see it, except when I, bend down and kind of get a different glance at the wood. So I need to blow off Okay. So I need to. Oh yeah. You just want to blow off any residue. Before you spray any sanding sealer. Oh, what time? Oh, man. Sorry, man. I didn't think it was going to take this long. Hope you guys are liking the demo.
I believe so. We've still got 81 people on here.
Oh, that's great. I know back east is getting late, so. I'm in California, so for me, it's only 6:30. It's not.
All right. 30 minutes.
All right.
We started with 82 people.
Oh, well, I lost another one. 80 now. Oh, well. I know it's getting late back east, so that's understandable. All right, so I'm just going to do a real quick.
One.
Oh.
We just gained that one that we lost. 81.
Some people pop out and then pop right back in, don't they? All right, so I got this good and shaken up. This is Depth Lacquer Sealer. I can't buy it at the stores here in California anymore, but I found an outfit that will send it to me through Amazon. So I can still get it, thank goodness. So, so because the piece is still warm, it's going to dry this off really quick. So I'm about 10 inches away from the wood. Just, you don't want to be up against it and causing drips and that kind of stuff. Just go over it a couple times. I'm just going to turn on the lathe to help speed things up, not super fast, or it's going to splatter everywhere. But because the wood is still warm, it'll actually dry it off and absorb it into the wood faster. That's because of the open grain that the burning did. It really gets down inside the wood fibers. Now I got to ask you guys, I'm going to let you guys choose. I'm going to put 2 colors on the texturing. So I'm going to put the overhead on. So I've got a base color would be either gold or silver. And over that I would put purple or blue or green.
Gold and purple.
What? Gold and purple?
I second that.
Gold.
Purple sounds great.
Gold and purple.
Yeah, works for me.
You got it.
You're Minnesota Viking.
All right, so I'll put these over to the side for right this second here. Just make sure this is all nice and dry. All nice and dry to my hands. I'm rubbing it. Nothing coming off, no soot. See that? Clean hands. That's a good good coverage of the sanding sealer. So for the first coat, you always want to put the shiniest. So I'll put the gold on first. It's getting a little dry, but it'll still work. I need to add a little.
Are you putting this on top, Scott? Or are you putting it in the texture, inside the texture?
Oh, I'm just gonna get a paper towel and just rub it in there into the texturing.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So we're just gonna get a good blob of this going here. Not too much. You don't want to be too heavy-handed with it. You don't want to overfill everything, but just
change the camera.
Oh,
Change the camera.
you got it. There we go.
Please. Awesome.
We gotta put a little bit more on a paper towel. It doesn't seem to be going into the texture. There we go. That's what I was looking for. And we'll come back with a clean paper towel and take off the excess here. So you just want to be a bit liberal with applying this into the texture. Give it a good look. Make sure it's nice and even all the way around. I think I need to get some new gold. It's kind of lost its luster a little bit. I've had this can for like 2 years. And sometimes when it gets hot in my shop, sometimes I forget to take it into my house where it's nice and cool. And I think I did that. It got really hot here like in the last week, last 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, it was like 100. And it got really warm in my shop, and I'm wondering if that affected my wax.
I know a guy. I'm told that you can revitalize seemingly dried out wax with a little bit of denatured alcohol, which is another thing we might not be able to get over the counter in California anymore.
Yeah.
I got a guy. I got a guy. I can buy it by the gallon from this guy.
Mason jar?
Nope, not that kind. All right. So let me grab me a.
Be a walnut log, would it?
Nope. All right, so I want to get some of that wax off my fingers, and I'm just going to rub this out. It'll shine this up too, because this is a wax. You can see it's taking the excess off of the paper right there. So you want to continuously turn your paper towel. Otherwise, you're just going to be reapplying what the paper towel took off. So you want to continuously turn to a clean area. So this is going to be subtle. It's not going to be like, oh my gosh, look at the bright colors. This is just kind of subtle things to keep the... So you can see it in there. Yeah, right in there. So let's put some of that purple on there real quick. I'll start moving a little bit faster here so I can get the center cut out. Now that really dried out. My purple really hit it big. So. Yeah, it's still soft though. It's not crumbly, so that's a good thing. Gotta get down in it though. All right, let's get that in there. So this will really show up. So you can see it already. So the gold is just sort of like a background color to the main color, which is the purple. You just want to kind of use the pads of your fingers to push it in. You don't want to use the tips of your fingers, or it can leave actual lines in the wax. I put a whole bunch on there that time, so I'm just going to spread that around a bit. Make sure I got a good coat. that going on. No. All right, so I want to buff it before it starts drying up. Get it down in that texture right there. Grab me a clean paper towel. Get some of that purple wax off my fingertips so I don't put it back on the piece. All right, so let's buff this up. So I'm going to turn it up a bit. Just give it good buffing. So it's taking off a lot. I put a lot of extra on this. Turn it down just a little bit there. So it's getting a little bit cleaner. Yeah, you just want to keep going at it until pretty much no more wax comes off. Now with this kind of wax, this Hampshire sheen wax, colored wax, this fellow by the name of Martin Saban Smith in the UK makes it and sells it. And it can be used just as is as a finish. You don't need to overcoat it with anything, but you can. You do not want to use oil. Oil will remove wax off of a piece. It's like an eraser. So if you don't like it, how a piece is looking, as far as the color wax goes, you can use oil, like walnut oil, finish oil, or anything like that. It'll take the wax right off. You got to do it before it actually dries too much. But so we got a lot of purple. Let's top. There you go. And it's got some hint of gold in there. I don't know how well that's coming through. That's got a nice shine polish to it. Feels really nice and slick. So we're good with that. The texture's pretty well full. I don't think it would take another color, but I don't want to go crazy with it. So let me get stuff out of the way. So you can turn the inside, safety board, water bottle. Put my safety helmet back on. Now we're going to turn the inside and clean up this part. And here we're just going to use a parting tool to create a border in those areas. And turn out the inside first, though. Get a little bit closer. There we go. And where's my large one? All right, 5/8. Make sure it's not going to bump into my tail center. So I need to go change my handle here. And put the shorter handle on because it's bumping into my tail center. If I move my headstock back, I would have to readjust my cameras. All right. Now I got these are Vicmark handles. And they come with a bushing that you can put on your tools. Pretty nifty. Just give it a twist. Oh, that's kind of stuck. Come on, loosen up. It's good to get that tight. Want to make sure the bushing was all the way down. There we go. Which tool is this? It's my 5/8 or nope. I put the wrong tool in the handle. That's my U-shaped handle. My U-shaped tool. There we go. There's the 5/8. Now I won't run into my tail center at the end here. So I'm just going to start my tool at 9 and turn it all the way over to where the flute is facing away from me and gently ease it in. And then I'm going to open up the flute a little bit and just push forward into the piece. I think my tool is getting a little dull, so I think I'm going to have to get another one here. I'm going to grab my 1/2 inch and see how that does. Let's see. I got a little bit dull there, I think. See how this does. That's much better. You gotta remember, this is a shallow bowl, so you don't want to go crazy going to the depth really quickly. I think my tool rest might be out of adjustment here. Yeah, I need to drop it just a little bit, I think. There we go. So one reason why I like the 55-degree bevel also is because I can start at the rim and go all the way to the center. I don't need to switch tools like you would on a 40-40 grind. I think I'm running into some odd grain in the wood there, right in this area here. Yeah, I think that's what that is, right there. All right, well, let's see what this will do. Sometimes I like to play with this. This is a round tip carbide tool. Sometimes they're really good for doing bowls. So let's see how this does. Really nice and smooth. So you can see I'm not, when I get towards the middle, I'm not really going that much deeper. I just want to get out to the size of the rim first before I go any deeper. So this carbide tip did a really good job of this. You can go both directions with it. And I'm just going to check the depth using my thumb here. Put it up on the rim. I really don't want to go any deeper. I'm going to go through the bottom. Because you got to remember, there's a recess in there. So I'm going to grab me my, where are you? I had it out. Where the heck did I put it? It's not on my rack. Oh, there you are. This is a what they call a French curve bowl scraper. I'm just going to use it to clean up the inside there, because as much as carbide tools do cut, they are scrapers and they do leave a heck of a tear out behind sometimes. So I need to raise up my tool rest just a little bit more for the scraper. So what you want to do is raise the back of the handle and have the cutting part on the edge. That prevents any catches. And it engages the burr that's on the edge of the bowl, or the bowl scraper. Let's see how much of that tear out went away. It still has some in there, darn it. But we are running out of time. I realize that. So I'm just going to go a little more swipe here. And I'll probably clean this up at a later time because the good thing about having a recess is you can remount it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up that area there. Where are you here? Just going to kind of lighten that up. I'll cut some of that purple away. And it'll help round this over. And bring my tool, my scraper back in, just kind of clean this spot up. And sand the rest of that color off.
Looking good, Scott.
Thank you. I didn't realize it was going to take this long, but
No, a lot of information covered in this demo. And I guess one of our premium grades that we'll have to
well, I try.
advertise somewhere.
Well, I'm going to be demonstrating at SWAT this year. So that should be fun. And that's going to be the first time I've ever been there.
Yeah.
All right, so what I want to do is grab my parting tool, and I'm just going to come in here. I'm going to create a white border right in here, so I'm going to take some of that lip away gently, just to kind of highlight that texturing there. And I'm going to bring my rest a little bit closer here. And I'll probably see how this works here. Use my round carbide tool here, just kind of clean this area up. This helps create like a border around the texture and the color. And I'll probably finish that up with my tool thing here. And just to make that line just a little bit sharper, I'm going to use my parting tool. There we go. All right, so what I would do now is just get rid of the rest of that purple. And I would just sand it. I'd clean this up a bit more in there, and I would sand it, and I would spray it again with sanding sealer. And for the inside of the bowl, I might spray an acrylic in there, but I want to spray, I don't know, that kind of got dust all over everything. Let me get my air hose here. So you can see it needs a little bit of cleanup right in here. I'd probably get my scraper and clean this up a bit more, maybe with a gouge. Then I apply a whole new coat of sanding sealer inside and out on this bowl. And then I would use, it's a high gloss. This is a high gloss wax, finishing wax. And I would just use this on the inside of the bowl, not out here, because this already got wax on it, so you don't need to do that. But what I would do is I got a can of I mixed my own shellac-based sanding sealer that I can apply by hand, and that's what I would do inside the bowl. I wouldn't use the spray on this. I would just use the wax or the sanding sealer, just do it on the inside, because this kind of wax needs to be sealed before you apply it to make it nice and shiny and glossy. This stuff is really excellent. You put a couple coats on and it just glows. So, all right. Well, I know I went a little bit long, but any other questions before we? Thank you. Any questions before we move on to?
Question about those colors. Do those Those colors stay intact.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're like
Once
it.
you put those colored waxes on, I'm sure that you burned it so that it would take the wax.
Well, you can apply. What I've done too is I've just well, like the. Let me take this off here. If I wanted to have done that, but I didn't take the time to do it. You see this texture I put on the inside, on the bottom here. I got like black wax or dark colored wax, and I could just fill this in here while it's still turned around this way, and just buff off the excess, and it would just highlight this texture like crazy. So you don't need to burn it or anything to apply the wax.
So, but that's the last stage of that finish right there. Those two waxes, that's the last thing that you have to do.
Yep, on this part, yeah. They're a finish all by themselves, sure.
It doesn't wear off after any amount of time. I mean,
well, it depends on how much I've made a few, like 3-4 years ago, using the same wax, and we use it all the time, and it hasn't worn off yet. It's a mixture of carnauba wax and microcillian wax, or however you say it, with the color pigments added to it. That's it, yeah. So it's pretty tough wax. Yeah. But you can see it shimmers of gold. See what if I would have just put the purple on, it wouldn't have that too much of that gloss. It'd be more like a luster. It wouldn't be a high gloss like it is. That's what the gold did. That's what's giving that really big shine. Is that gold that I applied to it.
artificial gold.
Yeah, so I'll work on it this week, and I'll show you guys when it's finished what I did to it at the next meeting, so you guys can see how it looks when it's all done. So
Nice job, Scott.
you're quite welcome. Sorry it took most of the meeting, but
No. That's all right. Demonstrate.
thank you. I sometimes I can get going, get kind of carried away, so that's what happens.
No, that's fine. And I get a little carried away when I see something that I think should be explained, or refresher and or something enlightening for the rest of the group. So
Oh yeah.
I think you did an excellent job. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're quite welcome. I hope you guys all liked it.